Ethics in readings. I see it all the time where readers either because they're ill-equipped, don't have the correct training, or their moral compass is a little bit different, goes into this patch within a reading space that is unethical. When we're reading someone's energy, it is going into the depths of who they are. Now, through that process, there's like threads of energy that can lead to others. And you can find yourself in that space without meaning to be in that space. But other times, the client's going to direct you there. And you need to know what your ethical boundaries are so you can hold them when maneuvering through this situation, either by self-control or correcting the client. One of the common things that gets asked all the time by particularly ladies having readings is questions about their adult children. You can't do that, no matter what their intention is. Or that someone's having a reading, but their sister hasn't come, and it's like we just find out some information for her. No, if the sister wants to know what's going on in her life, the sister has to have a reading. She has to give permission. You can't just find out when you're going to be a grandmother. Unethical to ask that type of information. So let's think about it from the other perspective. If someone, friend, family, was going to have a reading and they asked about you, you and your fertility, you and your financial situation, you and when you're going to move, what's coming up for you, it's an invasion of privacy. The only caveat to not reading someone that hasn't given permission is when you look at the energy from the perspective of why does my client need to know this in regards to this relationship? How is it going to help them maneuver through this relationship where they can show up in a certain way to be able to support this relationship? That is the only way and when you can look at any energy connected to someone else. If someone is asking about minors, that is totally different. If they're the guardians of those minors and they're asking. Our grey patch in this space is when we've got the pre-adults, so that 16, 17, 18, they're still minors, but there is an element of privacy as they're approaching adulthood that we should honour. And so in that space, it's from the perspective of how does someone really parent them or grandparent them in a way that is supporting them in that space. So if you find yourself where you are in a reading space and you are noticing someone else that's associated with your client, but they're not here and they haven't given you permission, don't dive into all the information about the person. Only look at it from the perspective of why does the client need to know? How does this information help this relationship? That's the only way you can do it. Anything else is in the unethical space. Reading someone's energy is, I joke about it, but it's kind of true. It's like rummaging through their closet or their personal files. It's like that. We have access, we can access anything. It's all hanging off us. So we can access any piece of information that has happened, is happening, or potentially going to happen. We can find that out. It's in our field. So just because you can doesn't mean you should. Really important. You have to check yourself as the reader. Am I going into a space that is unethical? Now, if your client directly asks you, remind them that whoever they're asking about, they haven't given permission. And so therefore, I cannot read them. I can only look at it from this perspective. Now, someone's going to go, oh, but my sister said, can you just ask? She hasn't given me personal permission. So therefore, as the reader, I am unable to do that. Hold your power, stand in your boundaries. People don't understand. And they don't think of it from the perspective of it happened to them. If someone was prying behind the curtain on them, how would they feel? Stay in an ethical space. Allow us to lift the standard of the industry. It begins with the readers showing up highly trained with a high level of ethics and maintaining that in every connection. My name's Bronwyn Jayne, and if we haven't met before, I am the founder of the Psychic Mediumship College.